For me, if I had given up in Dallas, Austin, Miami, anywhere along the way for my journey, I would have gone home with regret. So it's really short, but I heard that so many times in so many different ways. What are you doing? You're an idiot. You got kids. Give up. And I just had something in my heart that I had to keep pushing through.
All right. This is the Story Series podcast where we tell the stories behind the people. Andrew Key, welcome.
Hello, Brandon. Thank you for having me on today, brother. I'm excited.
I'm thrilled to meet you. Just for those who might not know who you are, could you give just a brief professional introduction?
Sure. I think I'll give as much of a professional introduction as I can, but I am nothing without my personal life. They kind of all intermingle, and I mean that, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm 39 years old, born in Sacramento. At 2.5 years old, we moved to Dallas. So I grew up in Texas most of my life. Went to high school there. Got into choir, got into tennis, got into football, loved the arts, but kind of went the business route when I went off to college at Texas A&M and got a business degree there. Also played football in college, met my now wife of 15 years there. We were college sweethearts, and she played volleyball as well. And I had a business degree, and for 2 years, I had a fantastic job. It was a great job, but I was in a cubicle in downtown Dallas, and all the while, this dream that was under the surface, stirring within me and calling out to me to follow it, I was pushing down for the sake of doing what I should do. And after 2 years in a cubicle, dating this girl who is now my wife, on and off, we broke up a few times. We couldn't figure it out. Once we finally figured out after 2 years of dating that we wanted to get married and we're going to do this thing, as Texans do, you get married right out of college. We got married. I was 24, 22. She had a contract after she graduated and she played volleyball to go to France and play professional volleyball. So she said, we can only get married, or you can only come with me if we're married. And you're not going to come if you're not my husband. I'm not going to make that jump with you. And I said, well, then let's get married. So I quit my job. We got married later that year when she'd graduated in 2010, moved to France for a year. And it was there I said, I'm pursuing this acting, entertainment, modeling, singing, whatever it is, I just have this call to get into it. And essentially, we lived in France for a year, came back to Texas, where I said, hey, I'm an actor, everybody. And nothing happened. As actors know very well, just because you say you are one thing doesn't mean you're going to be working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, with that dream career. So I picked up a gig in fitness to supplement our lifestyle, which was going to be a little bit different without my business degree, in action with my business job. Spent a couple of years in the Dallas market doing the modeling thing, actually singing, recorded a 6-song EP in honor of my wife, who, this was back when we were dating. I had to woo her back, so I recorded 6 songs, and we ended up playing one of them at our wedding when she walked down the aisle. So anyway, I eventually shelved the music idea. That wasn't going anywhere. Modeling, I was always too big, too tall, too muscular. You're never going to walk these runways. And I was like, well, I don't know where I fit in. And then I booked the Chevy commercial for me. This was way back in 2010, 2011, I believe. And it was the acting bug that bit me there. So we spent 2 years in Dallas, 2011 to 2013. I said, if I can book things in Dallas, honey, do you think we could move and try a bigger market? Yes. Went to Austin for a couple of years. Did the same thing. I didn't book everything, but I can compete in those rooms. Can we try a bigger market? Yes. Then it was Miami. Then it was Chicago. And then it was eventually LA. So actor, model, entertainer.
Yes.
Failed singer. 15 years running, I guess.
Yes. And you have a new film out called Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper.
Yes.
Which is, you're starring in it, and it is really funny. I watched it. It's fantastic. And I want to dig a little deeper into your background and connect those dots. But just hearing you sum up your story now, what I read about you, you have a life motto. Could you say what that is?
I have a few life mottos, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
On the surface, I guess the most comedic one is, if you're not getting bigger, you're getting smaller.
Okay. I saw that there's some merch that you have.
Yes.
That is.
So there's some comedic life models.
Okay.
Life mottos that just help me not take life so seriously. But I want to know which life motto you've heard.
Well, never hesitate.
Yes, that is. It can be comedic at times as well. But for me, it's. I love the idea of never hesitating, because when you know in your heart of hearts what you should do, where you should go, how you should be, how you should treat others, what you should bring into an audition room, whatever the scenario is, don't hesitate to do that.
Yeah.
Don't wait for someone else to tell you it's your turn. Don't wait for someone else to ask you to do the right thing or bring this to the set or whatever it is the occasion may be. Don't hesitate. You know where you should go, where you should be. So be there.
It seems like there were years where obviously you did kind of spend in the wilderness, hesitating, trying to figure out where you fit in. So when you were growing up, did you always have these creative inclinations, or were you a naturally athletic and you just kind of, that was your path?
Yeah, so I was a lifetime athlete who gravitated towards sports. I played one season of soccer, was a toe puncher, couldn't figure it out. So I guess soccer was never going to be my sport. So I was on the hot shots for a season and then said goodbye to that. Played baseball competitively till I was about 12, burned out, decided I'm going to pick things that I like instead of what other people told me I should be doing, right? And thankful that the people let me do that, my parents especially. I found tennis and I found football, an individual sport and a team sport. And those were things that, for tennis for me, was it's all on me to win or to lose. I love that aspect. Then on the flip side, I loved being a part of a team on football where every part of the team has to do their part each play or something breaks down for your team. But on the flip side, as I'm wearing this extremely tight polo I have to wear later for an audition where I play a finance bro for a commercial that I'm auditioning for, or I guess I wouldn't have worn the tight polo. Maybe would. I was perceived as just a jock, right? But under the surface and ultimately publicly, I became someone who really loved and admired art. The arts, I would go, to give you an example, I was both a tennis player and a football player. My football friends made fun of me for playing tennis and vice versa. My football friends couldn't understand why I'd want to go to Warped Tour and listen to punk rock music and bleach my hair blonde and go to Hot Topic and wear, when I was young, I would go to concerts with my family. We went and saw Alison Krauss, a famous bluegrass artist, before she blew up, forget where, in this small barn in Texas, and maybe a large barn in Texas, but I was just watching her on stage woo this entire crowd, and I was just enamored with what an entertainer could do and how it made me feel inspired and excited. Seeing the Dixie Chicks when they were still 4 members back at a small amphitheater in Dallas, this local theater in Addison, like a subset of Dallas. Just seeing those along the way, movies like Braveheart, Gladiator, and epic movies that said it's okay to dream and it's okay to dream big. All of that kind of was in me as I was playing sports, yes, but also in love with what entertainers, be it musically or on, stage or theater, could make a person feel.
Yeah, and I'm just drawing a parallel to sports where athletes are performers to an extent, right? They are in front of an audience. It's not exactly one-to-one to acting, but there is a performance aspect
Certainly.
to it.
I mean, to give you an example, I loved performing to the point where we would go to these regional tennis tournaments. There was a whole ranking system in Texas. It was so big. And I made it through. There's a first level, second level, third level. And to get between one to the next, you had to either win a tournament in level 1 to go on to level 2 and so on, or win X amount of tennis matches within a certain time frame so you could advance up to the next level. So I was at the bottom level. I just started out and I said, checking in at the tournament desk, I said to the lady who was running it, I forget what her name is, Barbara or something. Barbara, there's a lot of courts here, but I see this one court right here. It's center court and it's sunken in and everyone has to walk by it as they walk to their court and walk out of this complex. How do I play on that center court? She said, well, you have to win every match and then play in the finals and be on center court. In that tournament, I won every match, played on center court, and then won that tournament and then advanced up to the next level. So the idea of being in front of people didn't scare me. I didn't see it as I want to be seen so much. It felt like I was alive and it felt like I was on fire. So that carried you through high school and then into college. You said you had like this detour into business. What was what was the reasoning behind that? The reasoning was I had no idea what the hell I was going to do with my life.
And professional athleticism?
Professional athletics was not necessarily an option. I'm not saying I could have played if I stayed for my 5th year of college football. I had lost the passion for the game. There was 2 guys in front of me. I played tight end, and they went to the NFL, and no one called me. No one asked me to come to any combine. So I took that as a sign that I'm going to graduate. I got my degree in 4 years. I'm going to follow the easy business path out, which, easy or not, it was laid out for me to be a rather structured path. And it wasn't something that I chose necessarily, but was kind of forced to choose because I didn't follow the fire within me that said, this isn't what you want to do. And it's not wrong. A lot of people do that, and it's a great profession. But I just didn't have the understanding and the fire and the passion all together to figure out, how do I, if I don't want to do that path, how do I go this way and do what I really truly want to try out, which is the entertainment world.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fear-based. I'm afraid of having those conversations, calling people, Googling people, figure, well, where do I even start? And it was after 2 years in a cubicle in downtown Dallas that I finally just said, I don't know how to do it, but I will do it. And then I started making a bunch of phone calls, Googling agencies in Dallas is where I started, and just forcing my way into conversations, open calls, and talks.
And these are
with
talent
agents.
agencies.
Talent agents at the time.
Acting,
It was
modeling, commercial,
exactly.
like everything.
It was
Yeah.
everything that Dallas had to offer, and I got told many times, no, don't even show up. Who are you? What are you calling us for? And that's normal in the industry. Rejection is very normal. And after a while, I just kept doing it until someone said, yeah, come on in, let's have a conversation.
Did you have any fear about telling those people that are close to you in your life what you really wanted to do?
Oh yeah.
Is it sometimes it's easier to talk to strangers and get that no, and it's a new phone call, a new conversation, but to the people in your life that know you, what was that like for you?
That was hard, because when the perception of someone who looks like me is going to be fill in the blank. People have perceptions about everyone, and I'm a tall guy, I'm athletic, got the business degree. It seems pretty clear that I would head down the finance bro road, per my apparel today. And having to have the conversation with my father, my mother, and say, the gift you gave me, 4 years of education, I'm actually going to do something completely different and go this way, huge left turn. And it wasn't easy to have the conversation because I was so scared of a closeted people pleaser that I am. I was nervous that they would have bigger reactions, but my parents, God love them, they were supportive. They didn't understand it at the time, and I'm not sure they still understand it if you're
Right.
watching, Mom and Dad. But I appreciate that you let me, and I appreciate that they didn't tell me in any certain terms it was stupid, it was foolish, it was going backwards in my timeline. And so I think booking some things as an actor kind of legitimizes that in other people's eyes. I know what legitimizes me as an actor, and it isn't how many bookings I get, which is obviously great. But I think that when I started to actually book projects, commercial and TV and film, that I was like, oh, okay, we got you.
Yeah.
But having that courage to come out and tell them, I'm not going down that path. I'm actually going to quit my job, marry this girl, move to France with her, and then quit everything I've ever worked towards, collegiately speaking and professionally speaking, to do that over there was that was really hard, really, really scary for me.
Yeah, you had mentioned at the top coming back from your year abroad in France, where you're like, okay, now I know what to do. What about that time abroad kind of solidified that next step for you? That internal decision of like, all right, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So before I had left, I'd gotten into a fitness craze called CrossFit.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
In CrossFit, I went over to France together with my wife, and at the time it said, okay, Mary, my wife, now that we're in France, when we get back, I'm not going back to that job to work the Dallas-Fort Worth market, whatever. I need to do something different, and I really want to pursue this acting, modeling thing. She goes, great. How are you going to pay the bills? Because 1 year of college or 1 year professional volleyball is all she wanted to do, and then she was going to go back. And the idea was, we're going to get jobs, and we're going to hopefully start a family soon, as Texans do. You get married young, you have kids young, and I have 3 kids, by the way. And I said, that's a very good question. I don't know how I'm going to make money. But before I had left for France with her, I befriended a gentleman named Spencer Nix at a CrossFit gym in Dallas. And he said, hey, when you get back from France, if you want to come be a coach here, you're a lifetime athlete, get CrossFit certified, level 1, come back in the fold. We'll teach you how we do things here at our CrossFit gym, and you've got a job. And that was enough for me to say, hey, Mary, I have a job. Can we still do this thing together? And it wasn't that I was asking permission. I was just asking to see if she's actually on board with this, because I want to stay married to her more than I want to be successful at acting at the end of the day. And if she, my partner, decides it's not something that's helping us, then it's something to have a conversation about and address. But so I located a job back in Dallas. So when our season was over for volleyball, I got right back in, had a CrossFit gym that had me coaching full time, and they were forgiving when I would have to sub out classes last minute for the last minute audition. Where I was in Dallas, and it's not like LA, where LA has a lot of casting offices in LA, all over LA, yes, but I would have auditions in San Antonio, Austin, or Houston, which are 2.5 to 4.5 hour drives from Dallas. And I'd have to sub out these classes I was on the schedule to teach, drive down for these auditions in person. This was way before the pandemic and a lot of digital stuff. And they were gracious to let me do that many, many times. And I told myself, if they're going to let me do that, I have to prove to them beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm valuable to them, that I can bring people to this gym, I can make them money, I can help build a community and a culture here, so that when I am gone, they know I'm going to come back and I'm fully invested with this gym until it's time to go do something, and then I'm right back. So
What were those early bookings for you? What did that look like?
a lot of them were, I'm in the union now, the SAG-AFTRA union, and a lot of them were industrials. They were non-union commercials that were, $200, $300 buyout. We're going to use it as much as we want in perpetuity till you die kind of thing, right? One of them was a PSA for parents. I filmed it in Austin. This was a PSA for parents to learn how to talk to your kids, before I even had kids, how to talk to your kids about being healthy. And it was this way over the top if I can find it, I'm going to send it to you. It's a over the top 80s wardrobe, 80s fitness video feel of like, how to get the electronics away and talk to your kids about eating healthy food and getting sleep. And it was so over the top. It was ridiculous. And it's one of my favorite jobs to date, but it was just whatever I could get,
Yeah.
Any job was a good job. Any day on set, as I like to say, is my favorite day ever.
Yeah.
So even the student films we did, the non-union commercials, the industrials, all of it was exactly what I needed at the time.
Yeah, because especially when you're starting out, you're saying yes to everything just because you want that experience, you want that exposure, you want to connect with people and just kind of get your bearings a little bit. And you were finding that you had a knack for it, that love was there.
The love was there, the desire was there to get better. And within a year or two of being an actor, I realized quickly I have dreams of being a series regular. I have dreams of being leads in films. This was 2010 or 2009. But I'm not ready. As much as I thought I was, as much as I wanted to be ready in those moments, I needed to go through the industrials, to be an extra, to be a stunt performer for a football film and break my collarbone that still sticks up to this day, to be a stand-in for the leads, to do all those things, to see how a set operates, to see what people's process is, to figure out what my process is, and really prepare myself for when I got to LA in my mind for it's time. It's my time to do that now.
Everybody, whether you're a writer or an actor, we're also impatient at times. But where did that self-awareness or self-honesty come from, where you were like, you know what, I love it, but I'm not ready yet? Everybody wants their big break tomorrow.
Yeah.
But what was that? Where did that come from, where you were like, you know what, I got to learn this a little bit first?
It was when I stopped watching a lot of TV and movies and started getting into classes myself. Back in 2011, we had just moved back, I believe, from France. I got into an improv class in Dallas, and then I got into a Meisner class when we moved to Austin. Meisner is an acting technique, I'm sure you're familiar, but it was being around other working actors and non-working regularly, but actors nonetheless, who I just, in a smaller market like Dallas and Austin and eventually Miami and Chicago, I was like, these people are better than me. I feel they're better than me. And the work they put in, the years they put in, it shows. That is what it's supposed to be like. And every agent I ever had in the Southwest, Texas market, Miami, Chicago, LA, it's not an overnight thing. It's a 10 to 30 year journey before you, quote, make it.
Right.
So settle in, work on yourself, find what you're weak at, and attack those weaknesses. And I think improv is the scariest thing for me. So taking improv classes was one of the best and the scariest thing I've ever done. True improv, not scripted skits or whatnot, which I think is still amazing, but stand-up comedians and true improvers who can do it off the top of their dome, watching them in action was like, okay, there's a whole nother layer to this whole performance thing. And that was something that I had to do just to get out of my comfort zone and expand and grow as an artist myself.
Yeah, I remember when I was in my first writer's room, I was like the writer's assistant. And I remember looking around going, oh, everyone here is better than me. And this is great. I'm going to learn so much, and that's the kind of attitude that I think suggests that you're there for the long term.
Yeah.
And that you're going to endure the ups and downs, the no's, because most of the time you're going to hear no, but you just need yeses every so often. And if you can string that together, then you look back, you're like, I guess I have a career,
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved hearing that because that was.
And it's interesting too. I think why I'm never going to quit acting isn't because I love the arts and always wanted to be an actor, which is true. But there was moments in my life that I look back on and regret quitting. I regret quitting sports. I regret leaving college and not staying for a fifth year. Not quitting my job, my desk job that's not a regret necessarily, but I wanted to show myself it's for me. This is something I will never stop. Whether I am an A-lister or a no-lister, I want to be able to stay with something, improve at it, and continually work at it. And I'll do whatever needs to happen in order for that to stay alive. And some may call it a dream, but the dream isn't that I become famous. The dream is that I can prove to myself that I can overcome and I can stay with something through moving Dallas, Austin, Miami, Chicago, through a pandemic in Los Angeles, to a whole new way of auditioning digitally, to a writers and actors strike in 2023 where the industry shuts down again. And so for me, fitness has been the thing that kept the lights on when all of those ups and downs occur, as we know the industry will do. But more importantly, it's how can I find a way to keep this thing alive so I don't throw in the towel. I don't quit on myself. I'm not quitting on acting. I don't love it as much as I love myself. And I don't want to say that narcissistically so much as I care about the development of my soul and development of my heart. And I think saying yes and yes in the face of so many no's, whether it's a casting director or a global pandemic, for me is just sharpening myself as a human being and ultimately as an artist.
So you had also touched on other cities that you were working in, Miami, Chicago. What was the thinking of, was there a timeline to get to Los Angeles? Because it seemed like did you feel like you were avoiding to an extent? Or I kept wondering like, wait, when's Los Angeles coming in? All these, and take me through that decision process.
I eventually wanted to get to Los Angeles or New York. This was back in Dallas, or I guess back in France when I made the decision. I'm an actor. So LA and New York were always kind of top of mind for me. And I, again, very quickly into my journey realized I'm not ready for the New York or the LA. And I had an almost opportunity about 2 years into my acting journey where a friend who ran a gym in New York said, come up, be a lead coach for us. We got this salary going on. And I said, really, this sounds too good to be true. And then a week later, he said, it is too good to be true. We don't have a job. Don't move up here. It's not worth your time. Still a friend of mine, but I'm thankful he said, don't do it, because I was about to do it. And I said to myself, well, I'm married. And around the time we left Dallas, we had our first kid. This was 2013. And I said, I'm not ready for Los Angeles. I have maybe one co-star on my resume for a network television show, couple of commercials, regional, one national commercial. So work, but not enough for me to convince anyone worth their salt in LA to say, hey, we'd love to rep you and take on the risk of repping someone who's a nobody in this city. So we moved to another city, Austin, where I was able to leave the gym I was a part of in Dallas and join another gym in Austin and have money flowing. Not a lot, but enough to keep the lights on for a family of 3. And by that time, once we had kids, my wife was a full-time mom. So I was supporting me, her, our kiddo, and a dream. And we had our second kid in 2013. So now it's 4 of us and a dream. And I said to myself, Mary, this is the end of 2015. I said, Mary, I'm going to go crazy for the rest of my life if I don't get out of Texas to try this dream in a market. And by the time I had said that, I had had conversations with agencies in a couple different cities. Miami was one that kept coming back to me, and the agent there said, please move out here. Your commercial look is going to book you on the resort stuff, on the cruise ships, on any commercials that come through. Just please get out here, find a way to get out here. And I said, Mary, can we just do Miami for a month? Sure, let's go do it. I'll take care of the kids when you got castings. Let's save up now so we can afford an Airbnb. for a month. So the four of us left at the end of 2015 thinking it was going to be 1 month in Miami. I didn't know what was going to happen, and we'd come home and I could say at least I tried, which looking back, 1 month trying in Miami is not trying,
Right.
in my opinion at this point. But I just uprooting my wife from her parents, really close to her parents. My parents were also in Texas. We were all there. And with young kids, it's, as you might be aware, having a network of people who you love and
yeah.
trust close by is very paramount to anyone's happiness and success, especially at the age where we don't necessarily trust a babysitter with our infant and newborn, right? So we went out to Miami for a month. We got an Airbnb, and the four of us shared a 450 square foot, no bedroom, one living room with a fold-out couch, a tiny kitchen, and we would share a Chipotle burrito, all four of us each day. We had no money. And I connected with the Miami agency, and they began sending me out on auditions way more than I had seen in Texas, and I was excited by that. And my wife was like, I kind of like Miami, but this 450 square foot apartment with four of us is a nightmare. Can we stay longer and maybe find a place here? And I go, you want to stay longer than a month? Yes. What do we need to do? She's like, well, you go on this casting you've got today for a Norwegian Cruise Line, and I'll go look with the kids in our double stroller. She'd walk down. We were living in South Beach in this Airbnb. And she's like, I'm going to go look at places that might be for rent that we could maybe afford. We had no money, so I'm not sure what she was even looking for. But I went to the audition. The Norwegian Cruise Line I saw was a week long. You go on a cruise. It's their new cruise line that's launching. This is 2016. And it's a week long. All your food's paid for. You basically go on the cruise and they take photo and video of you guys. And I thought, that sounds fun, but I need money. How much does it pay? And the breakdown for every, gig will show the details, when it shoots, for how long, and the pay. And the pay was $7,000. And to me, I'd never seen something like that on a page for acting. And I thought, oh my God. And they were looking for a Norwegian looking dad because they had a Norwegian family, a Hispanic family, and an Asian family. They had 3 different families to go on this cruise and then market it out to all the folks around the world. So then I did the audition. I thought it went well. I have a tattoo on the side. They said, we need to see you in a swimsuit. Take your shirt off. Oh, tattoo. Tattoos are normally kind of like a no-go for cruise liners and resort stuff. So we'll see what happens. But we like your audition. We'll see what happens. And I connected with my wife later that day, and she goes, I found this perfect spot. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, maybe 3 times the size of our 450 square foot apartment. And it's $7,000 they need up front. It's like $1,500 a month or $2,000. I forget what, $1,500 a month, but they need $7,000 up front. $1,500 here, $15,000 for the first month, last month, security deposit, and some other fees. It's about $7,000. And I didn't tell her what I had just auditioned for $7,000. But later that day, I got a call from my Miami agent saying, you booked Norwegian Cruise Line. And I told my wife, honey, we just got $7,000. Can we stay longer? Can we go put an application in on that place? And then we did. And we stayed for the year.
Whoa.
It was one of those
Wild.
moments. That was the most clear moment up till that point. But there have been so many of those moments that I believe in a higher power. I believe that God has something at work. And I don't think he works in just blessing me with money and fame and projects. But I think for the years that we shared Chipotle burritos as a family of 4, one of them for all 4 of us, I think he said, here, do with this what you need to do with this and keep the dream going. So,
wow. So that's an incredible story. And so you really saw this as a way to continue sharpening your skills.
Yeah.
And then eventually the decision comes where you're like, hey, what do you think about Los Angeles?
It was initially, so I went there to Miami with this, they were a modeling and print commercials agency, some TV and film. I auditioned for shows like Ballers and I think Bloodlines, but there's a season in Miami for the modeling where the modeling dies down, right? And the agency was like, look, there might be some commercial work if you want to stay around for, but we recommend you go up to Chicago for the rest of this year. We just signed a lease on a place in Miami. And they're like, we recommend you go to Chicago and try your luck there. And I was like, wait, what? And I went up there on their advice for 3 months, 2 months without my family. My wife and my kids were left in Miami. My wife blessed the trip, said, please go. The 3rd month she came up, and it was there that I met another fitness company, boutique fitness company named Barry's Boot Camp, who said, "Hey, we want you actually to move from Miami to Chicago and open up our Midwest studios." While I was also there on my 3-month sabbatical, we'll call it, busting down the doors of casting directors. "Hi, I'm new here. Here's a bottle of wine. Here's cold brew. My name's Andrew. Please bring me in if you see anything that's right for me." I met a theatrical agent by one of the casting directors who saw me audition for a TV show. I think it was a co-star role, and she said, "Who's your agent?" I said, "Some modeling agent." She goes, "Drop them. Go meet with this person." I met with them, and they said, "You need to be in Chicago yesterday." What are you? There's Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Justice.
Why did they initially advise you to go up to Chicago? What was
the modeling agency had a branch in
Okay.
Chicago, and they said, "We're going to be pretty dead for the next few months here. If you want to go get in for some modeling castings, go. Commercial print's about to die down. A lot of the resorts and the cruises are no longer shooting for the year. We'll see you in January, basically." And I was like, so I had a fitness company say, we'll pay for you to move to Chicago. I had a theatrical agent say, "You need to be in Chicago." And I said, "Honey, what do you think about Chicago?" We had not even completed 10 months of our year lease in Miami. And she goes, "Well, as you know, my mom and my dad are from Joliet, a suburb of Chicago. And I have 60 cousins from the large Catholic family that are in Wheaton, Chicago, and Joliet." This was 2016, later 2016. So she said, "Let's do it. I'm on this journey with you. I believe that the Lord is guiding us. I believe in your dream. I believe that I'm the dreamer. My wife is the one who can take my dreams and actually make them work."
Yeah.
Without both, nothing works, right?
Right.
She's the one who, without it wouldn't have happened. None of this would have happened without her. So she said, "Let's go." So this company moved us up there. I got connected. I got in and booked some co-star roles with Empire, a TV show there, Chicago PD. I had booked a national Michelob Ultra campaign, Nike commercial, Lexus commercial, and I saw a lot more on-camera work and kind of let the modeling stuff go to the back and say, "All right, I've been doing my improv classes, my Meisners. Let me get more into acting specific again." So I went into on-camera classes there in Chicago. I did an improv class with Second City, the improv studio there.
Sure. Yeah.
And after 2 years in Chicago, my wife was like, "I know all of my extended family's here, but the winter's killing us. Please, can we go back to Miami? I want to try this volleyball thing again." She's got a coach in Miami who said, "You need to, Mary, get back into beach volleyball. I'll train you for free. Just go. Let's go." I was like, I feel like we were like, the next step was Los Angeles. And in my mind, I felt like I had a resume worthy of at least opening a door in this city. And it broke my heart to say, "We're going to go back to Miami." So I called up the fitness company and said, "Hey, I know you guys have studios in Miami. I know they're franchise and everything else you guys own is corporate, so it's a very different structure. But I've talked to the franchise owner in Miami, and he's got a job waiting for me in Miami with the Barry's Boot Camp thing. And I'll go back to the agency I had in Miami." And they go, "Hold on. We haven't really talked about it yet with anyone, but we're going to open another studio in Los Angeles. We've got 5. We want to open a 6th one in the South Bay, El Segundo, just south of LAX. Would you be interested in moving to Los Angeles? We'll pay for it." And I said, I would be ecstatic to move. One, because I hate the winter in Chicago, even though I love Chicago. But let me talk to my wife and just see, because she has a dream to go play this beach volleyball thing again. She's a great athlete. I want her to feel like she's doing something she wants to do with her life, not just supporting this dream, this acting dream. And I talked to her and she said, "You know what? Miami didn't really feel right. I just hated the winter. I had to get out of there. Let's go to Los Angeles." So got to Los Angeles in 2018, in the summer of 2018, landed because the Chicago agency that I got for TV, film, and commercial hooked me up with the commercial agency here, for which I'm forever grateful. Got on the ground running with some new headshots, booked a couple national commercials each and every year, all the way through, even through pandemics. And we've been in here now, just crossed the 7-year mark in Los Angeles.
Incredible. I think it's really important for people to hear that, because throughout you were supporting yourself, you had a skill, you were a fitness instructor, you were finding ways to supplement the acting, but you were very consistent about it, and it seemed very methodical in how you thought about your career, how you saw yourself, how you saw about improving. Right. When you first came to Los Angeles and you started booking, how did that feel? Because it was that validating for you, because the city that you were kind of putting off for a while, and now you're here, and
It
it's
was the
like,
city I dreamed of since I was a kid.
really?
I grew up in a home in Dallas where my dad went to he's from Fresno, went to UCLA. My mom grew up in Long Beach and Van Nuys, went to USC. I was born in Sacramento. My sister was born in Sacramento, so I always felt a draw back to California, Southern California specifically. So to come back and almost it felt like a homecoming, like I'm home. But also all of these shared Chipotle burritos and the no's and the nut, and it's never going to happen. What are you doing with your life? You've got kids. You're moving to Miami with 2 kids? Are you an idiot? All those, I mean, the stories are endless about why I should have stopped and just gone back and done the adult thing, as a lot of people told me. I didn't do it to say, told you so. I did it to say, I can stick with something and I can be good at it and I can continue to get better at it. Instead of, I didn't think everyone's path is different, as you know, in entertainment. I saw people who went straight to Los Angeles from my high school. Chase Crawford was a kiddo in my high school, a year older than me. He went to LA. Boom, he was on a series.
You say, where do I know that name? I know.
I think he's on The Boys.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I forget where, oh my gosh, I forget where he got his big break from. Gossip Girl.
Okay,
Gossip
sure.
Girl. So Chase Crawford was a year older than me at my high school in Dallas, and he went out here, and then boom, he was hot, right? I didn't feel that was the path for someone like me, wife and kids. I needed to build my own confidence, but then build the resume I can hand to someone and say, now please give me the big league shot in the big leagues like Los Angeles. But all the while, yes, I had to support a family. I had to make myself valuable in the fitness community that I was a part of and loved it. It's not that I hated it and had to do it and just had to pull myself up, but I just tried to find a way to be as valuable as I could for whatever gym would pick me. And every day I was there, I was 100% invested in the clients, the workout, you name it. Social media, following clients all the time, posting stories about their workout. I wanted to be as valuable as I could, so there was no doubt when I went off to shoot something, commercial, TV, or film, that I'm not just trying to find a way out of here, but that I'm coming back and I'm ready to go and help you, business, continue to make money. But all the while, taking improv classes at Second City when I was in Chicago, on-camera classes, got to LA, took more classes, more Meisner. I got into scene study. I got into the Groundlings improv classes as well. So it wasn't that I finally got to LA and now I'm good. It's like now the level has, for every market, the competition got even greater.
Right. Now there's a new level of grind that you're, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, take me to jumping ahead to your film. So Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper. So what was that process like? How did that get onto your radar?
Oh, that's I had worked, it's shot in Tampa Bay. A year prior to this shooting, I believe it was 2023. We shot Mother Nature in 2024, but I think in 2023, I went and shot a film, speaking of radar, called Radar, The Adventures of the Bionic Dog in Tampa Bay with Dean Cain. He was the big name attached to it. A very family-friendly, dog is the hero, kids and dogs save the day, and I was the chief of police, Joe Ramey. This was in, not technically Tampa, it was a part of Tampa called Dunedin. Beautiful little town by Clearwater in St. Pete. And I met the videographer there, the DP rather, his name Christian Cashmere. He was the DP on it. And then I just had a great time on set, did the best I could. And when I go to set, it's always, let's meet new people, let's do the best job I can. But as an actor, I'm there to fulfill writer and director's vision. It's not my project. I didn't write it. I can bring my thoughts to it, but at the end of the day, they have a specific idea or a genre they want to fit in, whatever. So I bring creatively what I have worked on. If they like it, great. They add on to it, or they say, scrap all that. That ain't working. I need you to do this. But Christian and I maintained a little friendship throughout that because he was the DP. And then about 6 months later, after we wrapped filming that, he reached out to my manager and he said, hey, I'm going to be directing a film now in Tampa area, St. Pete specifically. And I want Andrew to audition for this Zip Avila role as one of the leads because I loved working with him. And I, from there, auditioned. It was a Zoom audition because they were holding auditions in person for some of the local hires, some of the supporting roles, but also they put auditions out for Zoom. This was again 2023, where LA was still kind of feeling the whole pandemic vibe. And
Right.
so one of our, Eric Freeman, one of our actors came from New York. Kate and myself, Kate plays the lead, Mother Nature herself. We're both from Los Angeles, so we both did Zoom auditions, and then I talked to them. They said, we really like you. Christian vouches for you. He's worked with you before. We want to give you this role, and we have a couple more things going on with this character, that character, and this character. And once it was all locked down, I found out who was in Los Angeles, and I immediately asked for their cell phone number so I could meet up with them, as I love to do. As I want on-set experiences to be collaborative, fun, and like we're already a family, versus showing up one day and everything's screeching to a halt to get to know someone, and you're about to have a scene start and you've never even had a conversation. So I was like, Lori, the writer of the film, I said, can I please have Kate? I heard she's the Mother Nature. I think you guys posted about it. Can I reach out to her? Do I have your blessing to reach out to her? And they said, please. So Kate and I got coffee a couple times. She came and took one of my fitness classes as well. And we did, I think, a coffee after as well. So it was really fun, but it was a relationship building and doing what I thought was the best job I could for a project. And then Christian from that project said, hey, I'm going to take a step into the director's seat this time. I want you to come on board again.
That's amazing. And now talk to me about Zoom auditions, just to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit. How is your preparation different with a Zoom audition, or is it from an in-person audition?
I mean, obviously the major difference is you don't get to have what we're having right now, which is a face-to-face. I don't feel any energy. I don't feel any, it just feels 100% different. The preparation for me is the same. The camera setup for me, since I have to set my own camera or laptop up in this case, is certainly something I don't have to do on an in-person audition. And you're always wondering, is their Wi-Fi the slow one? Is it my Wi-Fi? Why do they sound delayed? If I have my AirPods in, I said something, but they're not responding. Did they not hear,
Right.
So there was a few of those moments where we did like a audition with I think me and Kate auditioned, or at least had a chemistry read or something to that effect. And that was fine. But multiple Zoom auditions for me, as much as it's easy and I prefer the sake of not having to drive all up and down Los Angeles, I had an in-person audition the other day for a soap opera, and they, like, just being in the room with the casting director, having them see my height, my size, my personality, and feel that, I miss that. And a lot of first round auditions for TV and film are a Zoom audition, not a Zoom, but a self-tape. You don't even get the chance to have someone from the casting office read with you. It's your friend, or if your friend can't make it, your wife, and your wife hates to do self-tape. Sorry, Mary. So I would much prefer everything to be in person, and I know that's not the possibility because we shifted in a pandemic. And
I was going to say, for those who don't know, this is all because of the pandemic, right?
The pandemic
pre-pandemic
changed everything.
Auditions were pretty much always in person, were they not?
For LA people, they were always in person, and they'd have the occasional person who was out of town, or a big name here or there in Chicago or New York that they wanted, or UK or Australia, they wanted to send a tape in. But for the most part, I'd be in rooms with 10, 12, 15 other guys who looked exactly like me.
In a case like Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper, where you get the script and you're auditioning, what does your preparation process look like? How are you breaking down this character?
Well, if I didn't have Lori, she was fantastic. It was her first time putting I think a full-length feature together. And to have her be someone who was so invested in the process and willing to collaborate in the process and willing to give us her cell phone number for texts or calls to ask questions throughout the lead up to actually shooting, then if I didn't have that luxury, which I consider that to be a luxury, to have the writer actually want to hear what I think, hear my point of view and Kate's and Eric's and everyone's point of view, then I read the script a few times. I try to break down where I'm at, obviously find my scenes, start memorizing lines to the best of my ability, but start to kind of find who my character is based upon what the writer has said, if I get to talk to them, or what the breakdown has said in the audition process, and see how Andrew shows up in each and every scene as this character. Because I don't want it to be me trying to be a character. That's not interesting. But all of us within us have every human emotion whether we exhibit them or not. So I want to find how Andrew would be as this character in these scenarios. And sometimes my instincts are right and sometimes they're not. And that's where the creative process with a collaborative writer like Lori or director like Christian is so amazing. So for me, I want to do enough preparation to I know the script. I know what role my character plays, whether it's a lead or a supporting, and know when I show up for day one that my ideas aren't dogmatic truth, but that here's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm willing to share this. Would you be willing to tell me what you think of this? And if not, just great. Just tell me which way you want it to go, because unless I write the project, I don't think it's the actor's job to write the project.
You're right.
Right?
Right.
It's not my creation. It is Lori's fulfillment of her dream, and Christian is there to help direct that dream, and I'm there to act as Zip the way that she sees Zip, and I'm willing to and she was willing to hear my 2 cents on what might happen here or what I think would happen here or what might work there. But at the end of the day, it's her call.
It's her. So your character Zip Avila, could you give just a brief like intro as to who he is in the film?
Yeah, so Zip is a doomsday prepper who has lost all hope in the world saving itself because of natural disaster, wars, whatever. But in this case, we focus in on what the planet has become because humans have been allowed to do whatever they want with the planet. So what he considers to be just a hopeless cause for fixing the planet, he has now, as a former Coast Guard and seen a lot of Mother Nature's disasters in real time as a Coast Guard, has transitioned into the full-time doomsday prepper role. And in this case, he's developing a pod that is, in the event of global floods, for whatever reason, global floods will happen, because in my mind as Zip, they're going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I've created a safety pod that you individually or a family-sized pod can purchase and have ready-made meals for. It floats to the top of any surface. It's got protective walls. It's got, I think, a beacon on the outside that lets any sort of emergency systems know where to find this pod.
It's such a great idea. It's such a fun character.
Yeah, and so I'm not, without giving too much away with what happens in the actual film, Mother Nature, who's played by Kate Amundsen, comes to a realization, a come to Jesus moment with Zeus that, hey, Zeus tells her, look at what the planet has become. This is your job. What are you going to do to fix it? And the challenge is issued by Lexi to say, hey, okay, I want your job as Mother Nature, but let's see, hey, Zeus, let's see if she can convince this doomsday prepper who hates Mother Nature and all the disasters associated with that name, if there is hope for the world, because obviously there's not, as they say, but you, Mother Nature, go convince this guy that we can save the planet, because it's impossible, because Zip is totally just depressed about the current situation, the current climate, literally. And so there is the beginning of the plot.
And there's a romantic comedy element to it.
It is very much funny.
Which I love, because all rom-coms are kind of rooted in opposites. And so here you have a doomsday prepper who's lost all hope in Mother Nature, and here's Mother Nature as a character, as this female coming down, and then, you know, chaos and comedy ensues. And so it's just a great, like, polar, opposition.
Yeah, so she's never left Mount Olympus.
Right.
So her first foray is into St. Petersburg, Florida. Mount Olympus to St. Pete. I don't think there's any hope for the world. She's the most hope-filled, positive person that's ever been. And so, again, the opposites there of meeting people who have completely different worldviews about everything and different attitudes about the same topic. The hilarity ensues, and then, so the romantic comedy element is there, but the fantasy element of it's gods coming down from Mount Olympus.
Very high concept, super fun backdrop. Yeah. Now, give me, if you could, some examples of great pieces of direction that you've received as an actor, whether it's on a film like this or just throughout your career.
Wow, that's a great question. One of the most fun, I don't know if it's great or not, but one of the most fun was actually on Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper, where we woke up one morning ready to shoot our scenes for this, I forget the scene that we were shooting, but that night before, Lori, the writer, and Christian, our director, talked about the scene, and they didn't like how it was currently written. But we as actors kind of were preparing for the next day, memorizing our lines for the next day. So we were ready to go off book with our lines for that scene we were going to do. It was a quite large scene, probably about 2.5 pages of dialogue in the actual script itself. And Christian comes up to us and he goes, So Lori and I want to scrap the whole scene and have you guys improv it. I said, well, thank you, Jesus, that I've done improv training in my life, because not that I'm great at it, but at least it wasn't my first time trying improv. And so what we did is, instead of putting it on camera first, he had us talk about, okay, here's the scene. You guys are in the scene, and I want you to kind of end here, start here. Let's just see what you come up with. And over a 5-10 minute period, we kind of were able to build a scene, and he was writing down dialogue. He liked scratching other things. And we essentially wrote a scene in real time that kind of had the same feel of the one they had written, but was word-wise more to what Lori was hoping for. So that was one of the coolest experiences, of literally getting to be an actor, improving, and a writer all at the same time. As I would throw my idea, Kate would throw her idea. I think Eric was in the scene as well. And it was awesome and hilarious. But it was one of those moments where it's like, we had already built a relationship before we even all got onto set. Every night when we were on set, that night we go get Korean barbecue or the local Indian restaurant or whatever, and keep the friendship going. So when we're asked to kind of lay it bare acting wise and improv and really try it and really go there, we were all pretty comfortable with each other at that point. So that was
there has
really
to be
cool.
a level of trust there too, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's all something that you worked on establishing ahead of time, like you talked about, or throughout, just keeping that camaraderie going, because it is a high pressure environment.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to have that kind of shorthand.
Well, it's high pressure to your point. I agree with that, because we had a certain amount of set days. We were not going to go over and shoot more. I had to get back for something else. This person had to go to this project. We had to get this film done in, I think it was 3.5 weeks, right? For a feature film, that's not a long time. It's more of an indie film, so that's fine. It wasn't this huge blockbuster hit, right? So 3.5 weeks was all we were going to have. So this scene had to be shot this day, and we had to figure it out. So there was a clock going in the back of our minds, but it wasn't one that led to anger, anxiety, and finger pointing. It was really a fun collaborative effort. So.
And I'm curious now, having had the film come out, which is out, available, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, all over, how has your definition of success changed now, seeing what you've done out here, your journey versus when you were starting out?
Watching movies like Braveheart, Gladiator, The Last of the Mohicans, those epic films as a kid, to me, I thought success is being in those movies and only those movies. And that's not wrong. I still think that is success as well. I think success is, as an actor, is, do I have representation? Am I getting auditions? Am I getting callbacks? Am I getting callbacks or auditions from the same offices because they like me but don't like that role with me? Am I booking? Yes. But I think booking for the sake of booking is not the truest marker. And that's weird for non-actors to hear me say. It's not how many bookings you get that's going to define success. Or, hey, what have we seen you in lately, Andrew? Well, it's been kind of, tough because we had a pandemic, a writer strike, and the industry's kind of figuring out with tax incentives if LA's going to ever come back. So I still have representation. I'm still going out for auditions. I'm booking here and there. But success to me isn't a certain list of celebrity, A, B, C. To me, that's not success. It's not financially getting to a certain place with it. I think being in the game, and being in the game looks like what I just talked about, having representation, getting yourself seen by people, whether it's in the room, in Zoom, on tape, consistently working at your craft. An actor is someone who acts. We act every single day. So for me, it doesn't mean I have to be on set to be an actor. I am still perfecting my craft, and I'm still pursuing the dream, no matter what the industry throws at me.
Yeah.
So that to me, I guess, would be success in that way.
And I think you touched on this, but I was curious, what mindset is most helpful when you hear the word no? Because as creatives, as a writer, all the time, what do you tell yourself to keep your head up?
That it doesn't define me, whether I book it or not.
You do hear a lot of people hinge their identity on what they do. And
I am this, I am that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous, because you're kind of giving away that power. You're putting it on other people to determine.
Yeah, I am seeking at that point an external validation that I know internally, deep down, their opinion doesn't matter of me, right? This booking doesn't define me. This missed audition that I didn't book does not define me. And I go into an audition thinking, how can I book the room? That was something that took a while for me to figure out. Instead of this project, this Chevy commercial, this film, this TV show, what can I do with this audition time on person in Zoom or on tape? What can I do that lets them know, if not for this project, we have to bring him back for something? Because the booking process is so out of left field. It is not a science. It is very much creatives in a room or the producers and the money behind a project making a business decision that has nothing to do with you as an actor. And for the longest time, I would take it personally. They didn't choose me. That was the best audition, in my opinion, of my life, right? Or I'd book projects that I thought, oh my God, they're never going to call me back to that office. That was the worst, right? So I had someone tell me, I think it was, I don't think it was for me, but someone said they didn't get booked on a project, even though the breakdown for that character role specifically said everything that that person was. Didn't get booked because the director on the project said that person reminds me of my ex-husband. You know,
how are you supposed to control that?
And it's so out of your control, to your point, that I'm like, once I heard enough stories that way, or realized the best auditions, I wouldn't book a project. The worst ones I would sometimes book. It's art. And art is interpreted, like we talked about earlier, this one thing, this audition is seen by 18 different people who have 18 different opinions about that art that they just saw. So it doesn't matter if I love it or hate it. I'm going to give the best option I can.
Yeah.
And the best choices I can make, and offer it to them and say, have fun with it. What you decide with it doesn't define me. I'm going to go live my life because I've got kids. I got to go work out. I got to go to the bathroom. You know, I need a cold brew. But this is not going to it's not going to linger in my head anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that, booking the room, not booking the project.
Yes.
I mean, booking the room, that's the long-term view.
The long-term view. And as an actor, once you're in it for a few years, you realize this ain't no overnight success. This is a journey.
Yeah.
And you better get in line. There is a line, and you just wait your turn. But you keep honing your craft along the time you're given, so that when it is your time and you're at the front of the line, you're ready.
Yeah, I think that's a great insight. Do you have other do's and don'ts when it comes to auditioning that you've just developed over the years?
I've started saying no.
Ooh.
I was afraid to say no.
Ooh,
I would be,
it's a good one.
In my mind, yes. In my mind, saying yes was what you had to do. Or you won't have an agency, because if you say no to auditions and you say no to more auditions, that means less potential money for you, which means less potential money the agent gets, right? You're going to get dropped by agents. Casting directors will see that and be like, this kid doesn't want to work in this town. Get out of here. You just say yes because you're just an actor. Get in line, right? Or there's a totem pole and you're at the bottom of it, bud. Well, I have personal convictions in my life, or personal beliefs in my life, that are strong, no matter the public opinion of this writer, director, actor. I don't care. I don't care what they think of me. So I finally had the courage to start saying no to things that, for me, crossed a line I didn't want to cross. So I don't know if that's a yes or no for auditions so much as I just finally said, I'm going to start saying no to projects I don't feel in my heart of hearts are where I want to go.
It is hard to do, and you have to develop that. I, as a writer, recently said no to something that I was starting to go down this road because, of course, you say yes to the meeting. And then they ask you in the meeting if you're open to it. Of course you say yes, you're open to it. And then I found myself in this meeting with a handful of people, and I realized I didn't want this opportunity. And I thought, okay, I have a job. I don't need it, thankfully. But I'm like, I think I'm just trying to collect people that like me here.
Yeah.
As opposed to, because I thought, okay, the best case scenario is I get this job offer, but I know I don't want it. So why am I here doing this work of trying to get it? And I called my manager and I said, I don't want this. And when I made that it was on a Friday. When I made the mental decision, I experienced like so much of a release going into the weekend.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't have to prepare for this because I don't want it. I'm saying no to myself first. And then on Monday morning, I had a call with my manager, and he, I told him what was up, and he completely agreed, and it was fine. And I thought, oh yeah, the world didn't end because I said no. You think that this is going to be the worst thing ever, but it comes with experience, a bit of confidence. Hopefully you're not so in need of work that you have to say yes to everything.
Right.
But that is important because eventually you will have to say no to things, and it's up to you to figure out what your boundaries are.
And to your point, you said, I don't need the work, right? Do I want the work? Do I want to be working all the time in Hollywood? Yeah. But I financially now am at a point where I'm not rich. God knows that. But I don't need the acting job to keep my family afloat. I still work in fitness. I sub out classes when I book stuff. That's not a problem. But I don't need to say yes to everything, financially speaking, right? So, and yes, to make myself have better negotiation tactics when it comes to me just, if I have no negotiating power and everything the producers of Hollywood say I need to do, well then I'm worthless in my mind. I just have to say yes, but I have convictions of my own. I've got a job of my own where thank you, I'm going to pass on that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that hurts. Deep down, that hurts. But it also feels like a big sigh of relief, like you said, like I don't even have to go down that road and pretend that I'm okay with this or that I actually wanted to do it. It's just, it's done before it starts. And I'm still repped by my TV and film agent, still rep for my manager, still doing the commercial rep as well. So the whole world didn't fall apart either for me.
Yeah. This is something I ask every guest. It's called the rule I break. So every industry has rules. Some are there for a reason, and some are just begging to be broken. So what's a rule in your field that you don't follow or believe in?
I don't agree with the amount of nepotism that I see. That might be controversial. Ooh. I don't agree with Hollywood having to be a party culture to make it and get to the next level.
Those are good.
Yeah, for me, you see people, especially when the folks are relatives of folks, you know, like some A-list actor is retiring, he's on his way out, she's on her way out, and their kids are getting the next, right? Good for them that their family was able to do that for them. But when I hear the nepotist baby, the Nepo baby, as they call them, complain or talk about how hard the struggle was to make it for them, I just want to lose my mind sometimes. I'm like, you have no idea sharing a Chipotle burrito with a family of 5. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I have to curb my jealousy and my anger towards that, because I'm like, you have the opportunity, like someone gave you this opportunity to help other people. I'm not asking for me necessarily, which would be great. But it's take what you've been given with grace and honor and then make the most of it. Also, there's just kind of this weird underbelly of the party scene with LA where you got to go do these parties and you got to hang out with seedy people that you don't have anything in common with. I said no to that a long time ago, thank God. I'm a very self-destructive personality, so being married and having kids was the best thing for me ever. And going down that party route would not have been anything good for me, for my marriage, for my kids, my soul. So I wish that there was less nepotism. I don't even know how to stop something like that. I wish there was a little bit more focus on good rather than all these things that are done in secret, which is wild.
Before we go, I like to end with a rapid fire round.
Let's go.
So just 5 questions, as much or as little as you want to say.
Well, I am ADD, so this should be easy work.
What was the last book you read?
The Broken Circle.
The Broken Circle.
Broken Circle is a story that's set in, it's written by a gentleman who there was a lot of race relations and conflict between this town in New Mexico and the neighboring Navajo reservation. And set in 1975, there was, it was a great book. Anyway, do we want the full breakdown, or is this supposed to be rapid fire?
No, that's great. That's just enough to hook someone if they're interested.
If you like stories about, anything with high tension and race relations and what the city looks like today, a gentleman went in, interviewed people from that time and got all their stories and collected all their stories and created this account as if he was there with them.
Fascinating.
In a sense. So it's a really, really great book.
What's a movie you love rewatching?
If I'm in a really goofy mood, Pootie Tang, which is a hilarious movie that I found when I was in high school. If I want to be more serious, then it's going to be Gladiator or Braveheart or Last of the Mohicans. The epics just make me feel a certain way.
If it wasn't this, what's another career field you could see yourself in?
My mom was disappointed that I didn't become a lawyer because I argued with her all the time. Sorry, Mom. I love you. But I would probably go into some type of fundraising for something that I was in fundraising right out of college, but I love the fundraising aspect, but I didn't want to give money to something that I wouldn't. I was hard asking for money for something I wouldn't donate to myself. Great stuff though, but I want to go, if I were not doing this, going and trying to fundraise for something that I believe in, whether it's a cause, whether it's some sort of medical research, kids in need, whatever, something that I would actually donate my money to if I were to donate.
Worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Just give up. And I think that is, for me, if I had given up in Dallas, Austin, Miami, anywhere along the way for my journey, I would have gone home with regret. So it's really short, but I heard that so many times in so many different ways. What are you doing? You're an idiot. You got kids. Give up. And I just had something in my heart that I had to keep pushing through. And thank God I had a partner like Mary who was on board for all of it. And the kiddos along the way made it all just incredibly special.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Never hesitate. Never hesitate. That life motto we talked about at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Is, you know what to do. What it just means, you know what to do. You know what you feel. You know where you're supposed to go. Now do it. And don't wait for someone else to tell you or beg you or praise you for it or tear you down for it. Just do it and walk boldly in that direction.
Where can people find you or learn about your work?
I'm on Instagram. I have deleted Facebook and Twitter many years ago. There's Snapchat. I got rid of them all. Just pretty much Instagram at Andrew C. Key. Andrew C. as in Carl, Key. Andrew C. Key. I'm on IMDb as well. Not sure if you want to check that out. Some credits to see what TV shows I've been in and some films. And that's kind of it. I don't post too much personal stuff on social media.
Yeah.
But I'll post when I book things. I'll post random funny skits that I do. I'll post ridiculous stuff on Instagram. But I also have a fitness thing that I post about as well coming up. So stay tuned for all the work. I'm about to switch over to some new representation in one of the TV, film, commercial departments. So that should hopefully increase a little bit more workflow. As we see, this industry is ever changing and ever evolving. And I am actually looking to get back into an improv class at UCB.
Oh,
Bright
nice.
Citizens Brigade, as that's been, I've done a little bit of Second City. I've done a little bit of Groundlings, and it was referred to me that you should just try this one out. I said, great. I need to fail more. I need to just suck at something again.
Right. I mean, it feels like in a creative career, you're always breaking in just at a different level.
Truly. It's find where I need improvement or where I'm weak at and go for that.
Yeah.
Because eventually that's going to have to be something I use.
Right.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I need all of that.
Well,
available.
like on Mother Nature and the Doomsday Prepper, you might get called to improv an entire scene and you're like, ooh, good thing I did this.
Genre specific, in character,
Right.
Go. We
don't
need
know.
2.5 pages.
Andrew, this was wonderful meeting you, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Brandon, a pleasure, and I'm sorry you had to see me in Finance Bro clothes, but I'm headed to a Finance Bro commercial audition.
Awesome, brother.
So-
I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you so much for having me, Brandon. I really appreciate it.
Hey, before you go, thank you for listening. If something in this episode moved you or even made you pause for a second, please consider following the show, leaving a review, and signing up for the weekly newsletter at storyseriesPodcast.com. That's where I share my personal takeaways from each episode, what stuck with me and why, one story at a time. See you in the next one.